Let's talk.
All right.
We're doing it. We're on it.
Welcome back to our podcast here with Matt Van Schoik and myself, Molly Kubo.
It feels so weird to say like our podcast.
I know. Amateur athlete, professional overthinker.
Oh, okay.
That's how I'm going to start introducing myself.
Yeah.
So
right.
last week we talked about what is CrossFit. We talked about, some of the hallmarks of CrossFit, how we want to prioritize mechanics and then consistency over intensity. And this week we're taking that same theme, but applying it more towards not only our gym specifically and with some of the programming that we're doing right now, but also how does that translate into what we do outside of the gym every day to make us better humans, better people all around. So wanted to start off with kind of recapping a little bit from last week. So why mechanics, then consistency, then intensity? Why is that so important and a hallmark to CrossFit programming?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so mechanics are important because we want to move really well, right? So we want to be able to, we're training for life inside of the CrossFit gym. So we want to be able to apply what we're doing in the gym into the world outside of the gym. So we want you to be able to move really, really well and to be pain-free when you're doing those things, right? So we want to take you through full ranges of motion. You know, for in the squat, for instance, we're trying to get that hip crease below the top of the knee at the bottom, and we want to make sure we're standing all the way up at the top. So that's the first thing that we want to accomplish. We want to accomplish the full range of motion, or as full a range of motion as we can with those really, really good mechanics, so that when you go outside of the gym, you can do those things. You can pick things up from the floor. You can press things over your head. You can sit down to the toilet or to the chair and then stand back up without hurting yourself. Right? So the mechanics don't just apply inside of the gym. They apply to the world outside of the gym as well. We want to be really consistent with those really solid mechanics so that we can then start to push the intensity. So if we don't have the consistency in moving really, really well, then it's harder for us to push the pace or to add load or to do any of that stuff. That's where injury happens, right? So it can't just be, hey, you have really great mechanics. You have to be able to use those mechanics consistently over time, right? So that might just be inside of one class or over a period of days or weeks or months or whatever it is to get consistent in those mechanics. So then we can start to add that intensity, right? And intensity will always be the last piece that we push. Because what you're going to find is as you start to we build up the mechanics, right? And then we'll bring the intensity in after we have the consistency. And eventually at some point, the mechanics or the intensity is going to push up against the mechanics and the consistency. And we're going to see those things start to break down, right? So take like a 1 rep max back squat, for instance, right? So that's about as intense as we can get in that particular movement. So anytime you're approaching your top end of your strength level, you're going to start to see some things break down, right? So that's why we only test every so often. We spend 99% of our time training and maybe 1% of our time testing, right? So anytime you're doing, like we've got in our gymnastics cycle coming up, we've got the 2-minute tests that we're going through in the pull-ups, or what else did we do? Handstand push-ups or
Handstand push-ups, handstand walking.
Yeah, all of that stuff, right?
Pulling, pressing, yeah.
So we're going to test where we're at with that stuff, and then we're going to take the whole cycle to rebuild the mechanics and the consistency of those movements so that we can come back and retest and see how far we've gone. So I guess what I'm getting at here is we're going to see the intensity then start to butt up against those mechanics and consistency. So we have to back the intensity down, rebuild mechanics, and then we can push the intensity again. And when you look at any of the cycles that we're going through, our strength cycle or our gymnastic cycle, in the big grand scheme of things, if you want to boil it down to what we're doing, that's what it is, right? So there's just a lot of training that has to go into that. But yes, we want you to have really, really great mechanics so that you can go out into the world and do things without hurting yourself. And we train that here in the gym.
So what you mean is when I deadlift, I don't want to look like a high school guy in the weight room with my back arched and what is it you say? Like a dog shitting razor blades?
A dog shitting razor blades. Yeah. That's totally a John Wellborn thing. Stole it 100%. But yeah, I mean,
very accurate.
Yeah. I mean, if you work a job where you're like constantly picking things up and, you know, moving things over here or whatever, like for instance, I worked at Hershey 1 year, actually for like 3 weeks. I couldn't hack it. So I was between jobs and I worked out at Hershey as a temporary laborer, and it was it was just before Easter. So I was moving, it was like the Whopper eggs. You know what I'm talking about? They were bringing pallets of 50-pound totes of Whopper eggs. And I mean, like, there was like 30 or 40 50-pound totes on these pallets. And my whole job was to pick them up and then dump them into a hopper. And that was it. That was all they did for like 2 weeks straight. It was terrible.
Oh my gosh.
And I was so sore because I had terrible mechanics. I didn't know how to pick things up, right? I didn't know how to use my hips or brace my midline when I was picking something up from the floor. And I think that's a big part of the reason why I couldn't keep going on that job was because like I just beat the crap out of myself over those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, had I known how to drive through my heels when I pick things up and brace my midline and then twist and do all the kind of stuff that we do in here, maybe I would have lasted a little bit longer. I don't know. I can tell you that I don't like Whoppers though.
I was gonna say, can you eat a Whopper now?
No, they're so bad. But I mean, it was really hard work.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people do really hard, intensive labor jobs. And I think that there's like this weird, like, oh, well, I work a really hard job. I don't need to work out.
I've heard that one a lot from members of, oh, I haven't been in the gym lately because I get my workout in at work.
Yeah. It's not the same thing. Right. It is not the same thing. I worked at Marathon. I know what work is like out there. And it depends on what you're doing. You know, there are some people and some jobs out there that they do work really, really, really hard. But I know what goes on as an operator out there. When you're working hard, you're working hard, right? Like things are intense. Like it can be pretty rough, but for the most part, you're not getting a good workout in.
So you mentioned our strength cycle, our gymnastic cycle that we're doing right now. So some of our members probably have noticed that we've been spending a lot more time on some skill work than necessarily putting weight on the bar and trying to chase these new 3-rep PRs or whatever that looks like. So much so that in some classes here recently, we've been doing just work with PVC pipes or 15-pound barbells and not even breaking out the regular barbells. So talk a little bit about, you know, how does that skill work and spending so much time with a PVC pipe, for example, how does that get us stronger when it's this, 6-ounce PVC pipe? Probably not even that much.
Yeah. We're working on position and strength and position, right? But posture and position are two things that we need to have inside of the gym, especially on some of these more technical movements. So I think what you're talking about is the SOTS press and the snatch balances.
And even our split jerks that we've been working on.
Split jerk work. Yep. So we're talking about some pretty technical weightlifting type stuff there. And it's tough to work on really good position with load.
Underload.
Right? So in order to be able to spend time in those like really difficult positions to get into, we have to back off the intensity because load is intensity, right?
Right.
So we have to back off of the intensity so that we can put you at the bottom of your squat with your hands over your head, trying to lift your chest and drive your armpits forward and shrug up on the bar and then keep your heels down and do all of the things, right? It's hard to do that with a barbell in your hands.
It's hard to do that with a PVC pipe.
It's hard to do that with a PVC pipe, yeah. So in order to be able to train those positions, we have to back off of the intensity. And we want to train those positions so that we can get better at those movements overall. So in the last episode, if you haven't seen it, go check out episode 1. In our last episode, we were talking about what were we talking about? What was I just talking about? I totally lost my train of thought there.
This is why sickness. The continuum?
No.
Oh, no.
I'm having a total brain fart right now. This is going to be one of those cut moments.
No, this is
bloopers.
Good. This is authenticity in
blooper
action.
moments. Okay, so what was the question? I've lost my train of thought. Oh, we're talking about position and stuff like that. Okay, so we want to be able to train those positions. Oh, I know. I'm back. Okay, so we were talking about the expression of movements, right? So why do I need to do an overhead squat? Well, it's just an expression of your ability to squat, right? So why do I need to be able to do a snatch? Why do I need to be able to do a clean? Why do I need to be able to do the overhead squat? It's just an expression of your ability to move, right? And it's not just that we're training in the gym, but we're also kind of working on like that brain-body connection, right? So can I get my body to do the thing that my brain is telling it to do? And that is what keeps us young. That is what keeps things like Parkinson's at bay as we grow older, is that constant application of, can I connect these two parts of my body to work together, right? So in the grand scheme, like that's kind of the overarching goal, is we want to keep you moving. We want to keep you functional for a long period of time. And when we boil that down, we go, hey, we want to get really good at these movements because they are expressions of our ability to move. Well, in order to get better at these movements, we need to train posture and position. In order to train posture and position, we have to back off of the intensity to do those things, which is why we use things like a PVC pipe, so that you can get strong at the bottom of your squat in good position. Coach Bergner told us that the first thing that we need when we're doing weightlifting is the ability to get into position. Right? If we don't have the ability to get into position, then you're never going to clean heavy. You're never going to snatch heavy. You're never going to squat heavy, front squat, overhead squat, back squat, right? Like we have to be able to get there first.
Yep.
So that's why we're backing off of the loading and training some of those positions.
Yeah. And side note, anybody that thinks that you can't get a good workout with a PVC pipe, the sorest I've ever been.
Dude, go try.
Been with a PVC pipe.
Go get your L1.
Yep.
Holy moly.
Yep.
16 hours with PVC pipe in your hand.
Your whole body is just shaking as you're trying to hold, like even just the bottom of a deadlift. Yeah. It's wild.
The second hardest that I've been to, actually, I don't know, they're totally competing, was the gymnastics course.
Oh yeah, I bet.
We held hollow and arch for 2 days straight, and I was so incredibly sore after that. I mean, like just on the floor, just holding hollow, like, you know, like get up on the pull-up bar, hold hollow. Like it was rough.
Yeah. Oh man, I bet. So now that we've talked about mechanics, consistency, intensity, we've talked about why we're fighting for these good positions. Let's talk about the idea of, so what is virtuosity? How does that apply there? And then let's take it outside of the gym.
Oh man, we're just walking all around the world today.
We are.
Okay. So virtuosity is doing what?
Doing the common uncommonly well.
Right. So we don't just want to be able to do push-ups, right? Like we want to master push-ups. We want to master these basic movement patterns. So everything that we're doing in here, it's not just about like for instance, 21-15-9 today. It's not a ton of reps. And I think that a lot of people will just try to blow through this workout without a lot of thought about, again, their posture, their position in these movements. They're not complicated movements. We're doing wall balls. So squat, stand, and throw the ball to a target, right? We're doing a kettlebell swing. Most people are going to do a Russian swing, which means they're just swinging the bell to eye level. Then we've got box jumps, right? So none of these movements are like highly technical or really complicated. So it's easy to want to just rush through them and just get the reps done without thinking about how you are completing each rep with that good mechanics consistency in a virtuous position, right? So one of the reasons that I really like virtuosity, or that I want people to train into virtuosity, if we just apply it to a gym setting, okay? So let's take a kipping pull-up, for instance. All right. So in my kipping pull-up, if I have a really solid hollow and arch, if I have really, really great tension, right? I'm hanging from that bar, and I've got this beautiful line from my knuckles to my toes with no breaks at the hip and no breaks at the knees in my hollow. And then in my arch, I have the same thing. I've got this beautiful straight line, right? And I can accomplish pull-ups in that tight kip swing, okay? As I start to get tired, what's going to happen?
Legs are going to come apart. You're going to lose that tension.
Okay. So what if I start in that position with my legs apart and I lose tension and with no tension?
Then you're starting at a disadvantage.
Right. So now if I can start with virtuous movement, with great mechanics, I have farther to break down, right? I'm not saying that I want you to break down. That's not the goal, right? But it's going to happen as intensity.
Well, that's part of threshold training.
Right. So as intensity rises, as we start to approach that threshold, right, the mechanics are going to start to break down. At some point, I'm going to have to come off of the bar. If I start in a really, really virtuous position, I have a farther distance to break down. If I start in a crap position, I'm not going to be able to hang on to the bar as long, okay? So I have more time under tension. I'm going to be able to accomplish more reps. I'm going to get more work done in a shorter period of time, right? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to do more work, right? We're building work capacity over broad time and modal domains in CrossFit.
So now we're increasing fitness.
We're increasing our fitness. That is the goal. So that's kind of the way that I always approach virtuosity inside of the gym is how long can I hold this really, really great position so that now I have this more, like I have this bigger block that I can break down through, which means I'm going to work for longer than you because I started in a better position than you did. And it's not a race against you, but the old me, let's say, right? The old me. I'm working for longer than the old me, which means over time, if I can do that with every single movement that I'm doing inside of the gym, then my fitness is going to build. And that's the point. Right? Like I want to build my fitness. So posture, position, virtuosity in all of those positions is really important when it comes to building your fitness.
Yeah. So I want to talk about how that applies outside of the gym too. So this idea that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I think about the air squat a lot. Like we've seen some really not great air squats where chest is, first air squat of the morning, chest is parallel with the floor. Hips are not even close to the knees. Things are caving in. Like it's an ugly air squat. And a lot of people just let that be good enough. And so chasing that good positioning, even in something as simple as an air squat, not only we've talked about what it does physically, how that's going to ultimately help increase your fitness over time, but what does that do for you mentally when you have to chase those good positions in something that's simple?
Well, I kind of want you to answer this question. I feel like this is the world like that you live in right now. Like you are so close to this where it's like you have just had this recently had this mindset shift into, and by recent, I mean within the last couple of years, right? Of, hey, this is kind of the old me and then this is now the new me and what that progression looked like. So I'm going to throw your question back at you here. And make you answer this.
So I would say, again, like how you do one thing is how you do everything. And when we are constantly, or people are cheating reps, or they're not squatting to full depth, they're not chasing those good positions, they let good enough be good enough, what else is that affecting in your life? And I would argue to say it's affecting every facet of your life. If you are, if you're not fighting for that good positioning, then what else are you shortchanging? Is it your job? Is it your job as a parent? Is it as a spouse? Is it as a communicator, as a leader? I think there's so much that it can be applied to. And so this virtuosity mindset is something I've been thinking about a lot, both inside the gym and out. And it's funny you use the pull-ups as an example, because that was where it also clicked for me, because I was thinking like, okay, I could do some kind of crappy kipping pull-ups, but no tension in the beginning. I could do maybe 5 at a time, and I was looking like a fish out of water.
And you're just doing reps to do reps at that point.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, like, I got my chin over the bar, and that's what's on the board. Yes. Versus now it's focusing on that really good hollow position, that really good arch position. And I can tell that my fitness has increased there. And so that's what got me thinking about all of these other places, because how uncomfortable, I mean, you talked about the gymnastics course. How horribly uncomfortable is it to chase those good positions?
Oh, dude, it sucks. But it's not just about the position in that one movement. There's a transfer also from a cross movement. So when your deadlift gets really good, your strict pull-ups are going to get better. You know what I'm saying? When your kipping pull-up gets better, your push-ups are going to be easier, right? Like there's all of this bleed over from one movement to the next. And you're talking about the same thing with the mindset part of this, right? So chasing that virtuosity in the kipping pull-up in the craziest way has a bleed over into your life.
Absolutely. And the person that you become as you're chasing virtuosity is more, I would argue, more important and more impactful than the person you are once you've achieved that.
Well, how many people in their life say, I want to be mediocre?
Right.
Like, I just want to be good enough.
Right.
I mean, I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say that.
No one says that.
Yeah. And, a mentor of mine told me one time that good enough is the death of greatness.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you start to settle for, hey, this is good enough, I'm fine, this will get me by, right? Like nobody wants to just get by. Nobody wants to settle for anything. And I'll tell you this, if you are that kind of a person where you're just like, okay, just getting by, this is not the place for you.
Right.
CrossFit is not the thing for you. And there are people in the world like that, and that's fine. And like, I've made some posts about this on social media. CrossFit is for anyone, but not everyone will do CrossFit. And it's because of things like that. It's because we want you to be your very, very best. And some people, I guess, are just not willing to push to that place, to put themselves in that really uncomfortable position, that really hard place where you're butting up against everything that you thought you knew about yourself. And you're starting to learn some new stuff. And you've got to make that choice, right? Like you're going to come to that fork in the road where you're like, hey, I'm good. I'm good enough. I don't want to do this thing. I'm not willing to put myself in that uncomfortable place. Or you can see that vision, that future self, and go, okay, I want to get to that.
Yeah.
And it can be really scary and uncomfortable to do that.
It's extremely uncomfortable and very scary, but that's what builds that mental toughness. And you mentioned building the block so that there's more to get through, right? Like if I start my kipping pull up that's already in the trash, then we're just going to go further in the trash. And I'd say the same thing with life. When you can chase that virtuosity in anything, you're going to have further to go before life completely breaks you down.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. As we're having this conversation, I'm thinking about my kids. And I'm thinking about like, when would I ever be like, am I ever okay with them just doing good enough? I don't know that I am. I don't think I am. I'm working this thought out as we're having this conversation. So like, I want the very best for my kids, right? Like, I think we're applying this to me, right? But if I can think outside of myself a little bit and maybe think about like me with my kids, like, is it ever okay for me to just be a good enough dad? Like, you did good enough today. Like at the end of the day, when I'm laying in bed and I'm thinking about the interactions that I had with my kids and the way that I pushed them to be better, because I want my kids to be better than me.
Right.
Right.
We all do.
I want them to have a better life than I had.
Right.
I want them to have all of the things, and I want them to have better decision-making skills than I had when I was their age. And, I want them to eat better, and I want them to just have a better life overall than I did when I was a kid. Right. I can't think of a time when I've ever laid in bed and thought, yeah, I was good enough today. Like there's always something that I could have done better.
Improved. And I think when you are comfortable with that good enough, that's complacency. And we know complacency kills. Yeah. Complacency is a very slow death. Yeah. It's painful death.
Literally, there have been times in my life when complacency has been life or death.
Well, I took that complacency kills from a Marine.
Yeah. I mean, it really does, right? When you start to get soft and comfortable in doing the same thing the same way all the time, that's when the enemy sneaks up. And that's when the enemy takes hold of you.
When you're
right?
on that autopilot.
Yeah. When you're just not paying attention and you're just floating by.
Yeah.
And that happens in multiple different ways.
Yes.
Right? So like spiritually, if you're a Christian and you're just floating through life and you're not paying attention, man, that's when the devil's going to creep in and he's going to grab a hold of whatever he can get his hands on. And he's going to try to take you down.
It reminds me of driving home and you just go completely on autopilot and all of a sudden you're just there and you don't know how you got there. And the same can be said for that. When you're on that autopilot, all of a sudden one day you look out the window and you're like, how did I get to this point?
Yeah.
And that can be applied spiritually, physically, mentally. So I took this is from the L2, CrossFit L2 trainer's manual.
Oh boy.
And this is also where the idea of virtuosity, the first time I read it in this setting, made me start realizing how much more it applies to everything outside of just the gym. And it says, a professional trainer continues to develop capacity in each area across his or her career. This is chasing virtuosity in coaching. Doing the common uncommonly well does not only apply to movement, it can apply to any particular skill. And then it goes on to talk about how CrossFit trainers in particular have that responsibility to chase virtuosity in coaching. But it applies in every facet of our lives. And I think it's also important to note that virtuosity is not perfection. There's no such thing as perfection. Mm-hmm. It's doing the common uncommonly well, not perfect. Mm-hmm. And it also got me thinking about, and we touched on this a little bit last week, how we live in this Amazon Prime world where everything is on demand. We get it right away. We want to see results right away. We want a quick fix. And there is no quick fix. And virtuosity reminds us that we've got to go back and master the basics in order to see any kind of progress. Yeah. And that means busting our butt with a PVC pipe before we can snatch. It means learning to drink your water before you can drop 50 pounds, right? Little things like that just apply everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are a few things that come to mind as you're talking through this. Number one is, you're right. We're not chasing perfection, because that is something that is unattainable. All I want you to do is be 1% better today. That's it, right? Like if we can just be a little bit better today than we were yesterday, then we're headed in the right direction. So I think, when it comes to health and fitness, like you said, we're chasing that quick fix all the time. We have to realize that here comes the old, cheesy saying, this is a marathon, not a sprint, right? Like, you have to come to accept that if you really truly want to turn things around for yourself, if you want to change your health and change your fitness and move those biomarkers and be able to get up off the couch and go and play with your kids and take your shirt off for the beach picture and all of those things. Hey, that's a real thing, right? Like I have experienced that personally, right? Like there was a time in my life when I was like, I'm not taking my shirt off. Like you're not taking pictures of me on the beach. I've been there.
Yeah. There's a lot of family pictures that I'm missing from over like 5 years ago that I'm just not in. And it's because I refuse to be in pictures.
Yeah. And it just takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time to get to that place where you feel comfortable and confident. But it's like snowflakes on the mountain, right? Like this, I talk about this a lot in class and with our members. Like we've all seen an avalanche, right? Like it is this crazy, like earth-shaking thing, but an avalanche starts with a snowflake, right? And it takes one little snowflake landing on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, and over time it builds up and builds up and builds up until all of a sudden it just can't hold its own weight anymore, and then we get this crazy earth-shaking thing, right? Your progress in the gym is the same way. It's one tiny little snowflake at a time. It's one little bitty win over the next, over the next, over the next. And as those things start to accumulate, you do start to build fitness. You do start to turn your health biomarkers and all of those things around. Your mindset does start to slowly shift. And then all of a sudden one day you wake up and you're like, whoa, I am not even close to the person that I was 365 days ago or however long it's been for you. You know, it takes time. And I think that's the hardest thing for people to accept is just a little bit of progress, every single day over a long period of time is the path. That is the way.
And starting simple. It does not have to be complicated.
Yeah.
Starting simple. So, oh no, I lost my train of thought.
How's that feel?
Oh, not good. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. And I've been thinking a lot too recently, based on some of our conversations, about burnout. And I think we're coming up on the holidays. Like, I know I'm seeing it with a lot of the people that I work with. Like, the burnout is setting in. And I would argue, I think, side note, and we could have a whole other podcast on this, episode on this, but I do think people overuse the word burnout. I think there's burnout and I think there's fatigue, and both have really similar symptoms. Burnout happens, I believe, not everybody agrees. I think burnout happens when we feel like the work we do doesn't matter. And fatigue happens when we know the work we do matters, we just are tired of it. And how we treat both of those similar symptoms, but how we treat each one is going to be vastly different.
Can you say that again?
Yes.
One more time.
Burnout happens when we feel like the work we do does not matter.
Okay.
Fatigue happens when we know the work we do matters, but we're just tired mentally, physically. We're pouring from an empty cup and it's just not there.
Yeah.
And how we treat both of those, and maybe fatigue is a precursor to burnout, but how we treat each of those is going to be a little different. I mean, it's one thing, like if I feel like the work I do truly doesn't matter and I don't care about it, then burnout it's going to be quick to burn out. Whereas fatigue, that's more of, okay, what do I need to do to re-energize myself? Put good in, get good out, right? What are you doing to fill your cup? And I think one way for me personally that I've been able to fight those feelings of, for me, it's been fatigue, and I've been truly burnt out where I felt like what I did didn't matter. But one of the ways to fight that has been, what's one thing that I can chase virtuosity in? And taking that one thing, and I'm going to get really good at this one thing.
Just stay focused.
And just focus on that one thing. And you start to fall in love with the process of mastering something. And that can be very re-energizing.
Well, everything changes when you fall in love with the process.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you can stop the obsession over outcomes and stay focused on, hey, I'm just trying to build, a little better, man, that is where a lot of things change.
Yeah. You said marathon, not a sprint. I mean, think about a marathoner. How much time are they spending running versus standing on the podium?
Oh, man.
You've got to fall in love with running, not just getting handed the medal at the end.
Man, that was a zinger. I was like, boom. Yeah. It's interesting, your approach. So I can tell the difference, and it's important for people to recognize that the way that you think about something and the way that I think about something, those can be very different things,
yeah.
Right? So I'm glad that you have that approach that works for you, and that totally makes sense to me. And I love it, that just that idea of falling in love with the process and staying focused on like just one thing, and try to get better at one thing. And before you know it, hey, I'm good at that thing. And it's been this period of time and I've gotten through that, what'd you call it? The
fatigue,
burnout?
That's burnout.
Fatigue.
Yeah.
That's fatigue, right? Yeah. For me, it's like, do the work. Like, just do the work.
Just do it.
Right? Like, and maybe that's just something that I've picked up from like service or, I mean, I've worked in some really rough places in my life. And I think that at some point you just kind of learn how to shut your brain off and just like kind of go into robot mode and just do what is ahead of you and just complete the task. Right. So that's where I tend to fall. And I guess that's somewhat in alignment with what you're talking about. But really for me, it's more about just shutting out the noise and that self-talk of like, oh, you're tired, it'll be okay.
That's what our next episode is going to be on.
Yeah. Or, oh, it's cold outside. You don't need to go out there.
You don't have to do this. It'd be why don't you take today off?
Yeah. So
just get by.
For me, it's a lot of just shutting that off and just telling that voice to just F off and just doing the thing that's in front of me. But that's also, I mean, I've been doing CrossFit for 13, 14 years now, with, a little bit of military and before that. some oil field work in there as well, working with some roughnecks. You know, I worked out of prison for a while. So I think the environment that you're in can shape a lot of the way that you think about those things too.
Yep.
So it's interesting how you think about getting through those rough patches versus how I think about getting through those rough patches. I'm just like, shut up and do it. Just shut your face.
And there definitely is an aspect of like, just shut up and do the work.
Yeah.
But it's also, I'm going to find one thing and like, damn it, I'm going to be the best at that one thing.
You know, when I first started doing CrossFit, I very much had that mindset. I remember like the first time I tried to do an overhead squat, like I could not do it.
Oh.
I mean, I couldn't do it. Like I spent, I think the first 3 months of doing CrossFit, every single day I had a broomstick, like an actual broomstick, like with the broom part still attached. Right. And like I'm in my garage gym with this stupid broomstick over my head, trying to hit the bottom of my squat. And I would do that every day for like 5 minutes before I would get into any work that I was, any work that I was doing that day. I did the same thing with my double unders. You know, I spent when I was like, okay, I'm going to get this thing every day. When I would walk out to the garage, I would just practice for 3 minutes and then put it away. Whether it was a good 3 minutes or a bad 3 minutes, it didn't matter. Like I had my mindset, like I'm going to do 3 minutes of work. And that was where my focus was. So, and when I first started, I was watching that clock like, okay, 3
minutes is a long time when you're first doing it.
Thank God.
I've been there.
Yeah. You know, and then I'd put it away. And then as I started to improve on that, it was like, okay, I'm getting better at this. Like I can actually do this now. How many can I do inside of 3 minutes?
And it becomes energizing. It
Yeah.
becomes exciting. And that idea, and last point, because I know you got to get out of here, but if we wait for the motivation, it's never going to come. And I know everyone has heard me say that before, you know, motivation is a feeling, feelings lie. Action creates motivation. Action dispels overwhelm. Like you just got to do it. And then that can turn into motivation, which leads to more action. But if we wait for the motivation to come, it's never going to come.
Yeah. I think for a lot of people, the win has to come first. Right. Once you get the win, then you start to get motivated to do the thing.
Yes.
Because motivation is
Yes.
fake. It's not real.
Yes.
Right.
I agree. Yes.
But when people do feel motivated, it's very fleeting.
Yes.
Right. Like it doesn't last very long, which is, you know, again, cliche saying why discipline is the thing that matters over
Discipline
motivation.
will take you places motivation can't.
Right. But I think for a lot of people, like getting the win is motivating
Yes.
to continue to do the thing. So it's really important that you pick out your wins and recognize that not every win has to be earth shattering.
Yes.
Sometimes just walking through the door is a win, right? Like just showing up, that's a win, right? So if you can like adjust that dial in your brain to what it means to win, which we could probably do a whole episode on that also, right? Like what it means to win. Well, now you can start to shift your motivations a little bit. And if you can do that consistently again over time, then you start to build discipline. And once the discipline sets in, then man, everything starts to change from there.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe that's what it is. It's for me, it's like just the discipline. Like it's been so many years of just kind of hammering away that I've kind of built this discipline up to like, hey, this is just the way that it is. This is the thing that you're going to do.
Well, you've built up that block.
Yeah.
You've built up that virtuosity
Yeah.
there and chasing those good positions and doing what needs to be done.
I mean, do you feel like you have that now? Like you've been doing this for
Yes.
what, two
Yeah,
years?
definitely. And I was thinking about this too. Like I get people that'll say, oh, well, you can go to the 5 a.m., which side note, I can coach the 5 a.m., but working out at 5 a.m. is something totally different.
Those are two different animals.
But yeah, I can get up early. I can choose the better food options, but that doesn't mean it's gotten easier. I've just gotten stronger.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that
So I think about this at the gym, like a 50-pound dumbbell still weighs 50 pounds.
Yeah.
But it maybe feels easier to lift when you've gotten stronger.
Well, there's like this old CrossFit like OG kind of thing that maybe it gets lost a little bit, and it's scary to say because new people walking in are like, oh, I don't know that I want them to hear this, but I'm gonna say it. CrossFit doesn't ever really get easier.
No, and no, it doesn't.
You just get better.
You get better at it.
Which means you get to push more.
Yeah.
Which means that it gets harder. Which means that you have to get better. which means that you can push more. And it's just like this revolving thing. But the cool part about it is like there's never an end. Like you can just keep getting better and keep getting better and keep getting better. The only limit is how far you're willing to push yourself in your brain.
And that's why people continue coming back. I mean, if it got easy at a certain point, why would you show up anymore?
Yeah, and that is what's so cool about Virtuosity, right? Is like it is this continuous push to just get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. Will I ever get there? No. But is it worth chasing? Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Good stopping point.
Yeah, I think that's a good stopping point.
Just wrapped up real nice. Put a little bow on it there.
Yep. So be thinking, what's one thing you can do this week that you're going to chase virtuosity in, whether it's a movement in the gym, that 1 inch more in the bottom of an air squat, or is it being where your feet are and being present with your kids instead of listening to them as you scroll? What's one area that you can chase virtuosity in?
Yeah.
Something to be thinking about.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go ahead and put myself on the spot here for this one.
Go for it.
I mean, as soon as you started talking about that, like I was thinking about intention, right? Virtuosity is intention. And where can I just be a little bit more intentional with some of the habits maybe that I've created? And for me, it's in my Bible, right? And being more intentional to not just sit down and stick my nose in that book, but to have that conversation with God about like, hey, what am I looking for here? What do I need to take from this? And just being more intentional with the words that are in the page and paying attention to that instead of just trying to read through it, right? Instead of just trying to get the reps done.
Yep.
Right? Like I want to be in that word.
Yep. Chase that virtuosity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to work this week.
I love it. For me, it's being where my feet are and putting the phone away, not scrolling.
Dude, it's so hard.
Listening to people with the intent to understand and not just respond. That's a big one for me. So
Ooh, the intent to
understand, not respond.
Dang, man. You're so smart. I'm going to be like you when I grow up.
All right, cool.
Good job.